Welcome to the channel, guys. We are back again with another first impression. Today in London, I was walking around and I saw the Penhaligon's boutique, and I haven't actually got my nose on any of their fragrances yet, and I have heard a lot of different things about them, so I wanted to check them out. I got a couple of samples that I'm going to do first impression for, and those are Satorial and Sawira. Probably said that wrong. So anyways, guys, stay tuned for that. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps me grow the channel, and I do appreciate it a lot. So first, I'm actually going to start with Satorial. I don't actually know much about this fragrance, but it is one that sounds interesting, and let's get to it. So this one opens up very fresh and clean. It has very much that barbershop vibe. I can definitely pick up the lavender in this one. So this one comes off very clean and fresh in the opening. I do get some of those spices as well. This comes off as a very classic masculine barbershop fragrance. So this doesn't come off to me as particularly dated. The lavender is actually quite strong, making a very clean, fresh vibe to it. It's very enjoyable. And there's also a hint of sweetness underneath there. I don't know exactly where that's coming from, but it is very slightly sweet. I don't get a huge dose of sweetness, but it definitely has some sweetness to it. And so yeah, this is actually really nice. It's a fresh barbershop fragrance. Reminds me very much of those classic barbershop smells that you would associate with that. Fresh, clean, spicy, a little bit of sweetness. I think this is a really nice fragrance. But yeah, that is Satorial. Let's try out Sawira. Probably saying that completely wrong, but this is, at least to my understanding when I talked to the rep, this is an oud fragrance, but it sounds something interesting. So give that a good amount of sprays. That actually starts out relatively boozy. And to my nose, it's actually very leathery, so I get the impression that this oud is of the more leathery variety. It's quite a boozy, leathery opening. I pick up a little bit of sweetness underneath that, but again, it's really dominated by this very nice, it comes off more like a leather jacket, a slick black leather jacket. There's a little bit of a pungent aroma there. It's not off-putting or really in your face, but it plays well with the leather to sort of create this nice, a little bit of a dark dimension. But that leather note also has quite a bit of cleanness to it. And yeah, there is this slight booziness underneath there as well. I get a hint of a rose that actually reminds me a little bit of the rose from Noir de Noir in the sense that it's very dark. It's not a sweet, vibrant rose. It's more of a darker rose that works with the oud really quite nicely to create this very leathery, dark rose kind of vibe. There is, again, a little bit of sweetness, and I don't know if that's coming from the rose or somewhere else, but there is definitely an undertone of sweetness that kind of balances that leathery oud out just a little bit. But ultimately, it does smell quite nice. Now, I'm going to give these guys about 10-15 minutes, and we will be back to see if they've smelled a little bit different. So for Satorial, it's starting to dry down a little bit now, and I'm actually getting a lot more of the spices. So this is a fairly spicy lavender barbershop fragrance, and I do actually like the pronounced spiciness. It does add a real kick to this fragrance. It does give it a nice dimension that makes it a little bit more than just a very lavender heavy barbershop kind of a fragrance. There is a nice sort of, it's hard to really pick out what it is, but there's a nice sort of robust, sort of sweet undercurrent there that adds a little bit of a nice grounding to this fragrance, and it really draws in the person who's smelling it beyond just that sort of top spiciness. Honestly, this, at least on the opening, is a very nice barbershop fragrance, even within the first 10 or 15 minutes. So I'd say very nice barbershop fragrance, and if that's something that you like, would definitely recommend at least checking this one out and getting your nose on it to see if you like it. I think it's got a very high quality ingredients. It definitely smells very nice, and the quality is there, and it has a lot of depth and dimensions to it that make it a little bit more complex than a lot of other barbershop fragrances that I find can be a little bit smelling nice, but a little bit one-dimensional and a little bit shallow. Yeah, I really like that fresh spiciness. It adds a little bit of a warmth and an inviting quality as well. It's very well put together, and I do enjoy this one so far. I'm definitely gonna give this one some full wearings, do a full review, let you know performance, projection, all that kind of thing. But this is definitely one that I think is one of the better barbershop fragrances that I've smelled. So with Sawira, I'm definitely getting that rose and oud blending a lot more. I still find the oud to be quite leathery, so it's kind of interesting you get a sort of leathery rose accord that actually works quite nicely. It's calmed down a lot, and there is definitely a little bit more sweetness. I'm not really getting any of the initial sort of booziness in the opening of the fragrance, but it is nice, and it's a nice sort of leathery rose fragrance as well. I think out of the two, I do like Satorial a little bit more. It just has that clean, spicy vibe that works really well. This Sawira is definitely also nice. And it does have a nice leathery oud in it that I actually really enjoy. But for me, out of these two, I like Satorial the best. The spiciness combined with that fresh lavender really works very well, has a very nice, clean, masculine vibe. Sawira also has that leathery sort of masculine vibe with a nice touch of a rose as well to give it some depth, a little bit of sweetness there too. The booziness, I guess, doesn't last as long as I would like. I do like boozy fragrances. Boozy leather fragrances are really nice, but it doesn't last as long. So anyways, I'm going to be looking at both these two more. I will probably give you guys a full report in the future. But that is my introduction to Penhaligons. Both these two fragrances are the first two that I have smelled from this house, and it's nice. This is enjoyable. I'm definitely going to be checking out more from them in the future. Anyways, guys, that's it for this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.